Hello and welcome to our video on how Pure FlashStack optimizes Oracle solutions. I'm Nihal Mirashi, Principal Solutions Marketing Manager here at Pure Storage. I'm joined with my good friend, Brian Farrar.
Thank you. Thank you as always, Nihal. Pleasure to be here with you.
So let me start with the big picture, and I'm going to describe, as you see here in the diagram, what a typical Oracle environment looks like. So certainly you have all your different applications. Here they're drawn by their functionality. So you have the ERP application, maybe something like an Oracle e-business suite. You have your human capital management software, your supply chain management software, and your customer experience software. And you might have more than what we have drawn here. Certainly then you have your database layer that is supporting these applications, and typically it'll be like an Oracle database, given that we're talking about an Oracle environment. And then you have the storage system that's supporting the database with different volumes. And then lastly, you will have your network layer, and typically you'll have some kind of distribution switches that are connecting and providing that network connectivity. So what we are going to be talking about in this video is Pure FlashStack, a hybrid cloud infrastructure platform that can actually support all of these different layers in an Oracle environment. So Brian, why don't you tell us a little bit more about Pure FlashStack and how it plays into an Oracle environment?
Of course. So FlashStack is our full stack solution. It's a product of our partnership with Cisco Systems, our oldest, most strategic partnership. And FlashStack is really an integration of three layers. You've got the Cisco UCS compute layer, then you've got Cisco networking layer. Both of these are considered best in class in their categories. And then you have Pure Storage, or either FlashBlades or Flash Arrays. In fact, anything in the Pure portfolio will run on top of FlashStack. Now, all of that environment, however, is managed by Intersight. And this is where it really gets cool, because Intersight is AI-based, cloud-based hybrid cloud management. It manages all three layers of your environment, and it manages those holistically, so you get a single pane of glass. However, you can scale each of these independently: storage, network, and compute. So the old definitions of converged infrastructure versus hyper-converged infrastructure, those all go away. This is a software-defined hybrid cloud environment. It makes those distinctions moot points.
That's great insights, Brian. And I think that is essentially a best-in-class type of solution for Oracle environments, because you can really scale, right?
Well, you absolutely can. And the market has voted. This isn't just us saying it's best in class. FlashStack is the number one UCS full stack product right now. Not only that, it is the fastest growing server in the industry. We're growing on average 15 to 20% annually with FlashStack. According to IDC's server tracker for 2022, the server market overall is only growing at 6%. So we are taking share, absolutely taking share, not only from NetApp and FlexPod and other UCS stacks, but also in general in the server marketplace.
That's awesome. And I think why don't we move to some of the common issues that we see in Oracle environments?
Yeah.
You know, the first one is around performance, right? That I think is especially critical given the fact that you have like mission critical applications. You know, ERP, for example, tends to be like a crown jewel in an environment, and you obviously have Oracle databases that are scaling and need the performance. You don't need any bottlenecks.
You and I are both music fans, and so I like to paraphrase Neil Young and say that applications never sleep.
Indeed.
And you and I both worked on probably the most ubiquitous, but also the most complex enterprise app in the industry, SAP. These applications get wound around your business processes. They have all your strategic data, your strategic company business information, and it's constantly growing. And to think that you're going to be able to support that scalability and that growth on legacy infrastructure is really foolish. You're going to waste a lot of time and money going down that route. Instead, You want a modern infrastructure like a FlashStack that allows you to scale any part of the infrastructure independently to support these huge growing application environments.
Yeah, and especially when it comes to like database operations and storage, storage is really a critical piece of that, right? And the fact that we can get latencies as low as 150, seconds. That's pretty awesome, right?
Critical in supporting your clients' SLAs, because one of the biggest challenges our admin clients have is the pressure they get from their user community to meet performance benchmarks and goals. And FlashStack is, you mentioned non-disruptive. We support all 3 versions of Evergreen, so you can upgrade non-disruptively in a normal Evergreen environment, or you can use Evergreen now with Cisco Plus to sell FlashStack as a service. So all of this could be consumed as a service, aligning IT costs to consumption.
Absolutely. So it sounds like they've got flexibility of choice. They can consume as they want. And so that kind of brings me to the second point. A common issue is around how do you protect the Oracle data, right? Every week we hear about some kind of a ransomware attack or some kind of a data breach, right? How does FlashStack protect the data in this case?
I chuckle because unfortunately, all you can do is laugh, because unfortunately it's not a matter of if anymore. It's a matter of when. Everybody gets hit. So data protection is core to the FlashStack value proposition. And of course, we support the immutable snapshots with safe mode snapshots. But we also believe in a belts and suspenders sort of environment where we bring best-in-class data protection in from partners like Veeam, for example. We do a lot of work with Veeam on FlashStack. But also Cisco themselves has the #1 cybersecurity suite in the industry. And that network that's protecting is the gateway to your infrastructure and consequently your data. So we protect it with partner data protection, with network and cybersecurity protection, and of course our own data protection with safe mode snapshots.
Yeah, those safe mode snapshots are amazing, right? Immutable snapshots. So, the very first thing that ransomware attackers do is go after the backups, right? Because they know that any kind of company that finds that Oracle data is compromised, they're going to go to their backups and try to recover from those backups. But what essentially the safe mode snapshots do is make it difficult to delete some of those snapshots. You and I cannot delete them.
In fact, you have to come back to Pure to get a key to bring those back, those encryption snapshots. And what I like to say is, the network data protection stops the bad guys at the gates. And the partner data protection from people like Veeam, and Commvault, these give you best-in-class backup and recovery protection. And if all else fails and the bad guys still get your data, if it's encrypted with safe mode, good luck. They can't do anything with it anyway. So belts and suspenders.
Amazing analogy there. So that brings me to the third and most important issue, I would say. It's around cost, right? We live in times of high inflation. It's and there's also an energy crisis going on. So there's almost every organization is looking at 2 things, right? One, they're trying to reduce the total cost of ownership, and the second thing is around environmental sustainability, and they're taking a look at the energy efficiency and data center footprint for their data centers and trying to see how they can optimize. So
absolutely. It's and FlashStack again plays perfectly into those product requirements, those solution requirements. Start with the macro, the macro costs, the ROI costs. IDC did a study where they interviewed FlashStack customers and on average found over 400% return on investment buying FlashStack. And we talked early on at the beginning of this presentation about the different layers. If you were to go on your own and try to integrate compute with network, with storage, with an AI-based management, and run it all, your IT department would be consumed with so much work, they'd never actually get to delivering applications to their users.
Exactly.
So the last thing they want to worry about is the expense and effort of combining and making this whole infrastructure work. So that's the macro view of cost. But then, as you say, there's a new thing entering our world, and that is environmental sustainability concerns, compliance concerns. And FlashStack's redesign last year was specifically to address those. In fact, IDC called the re-engineering of UCS for FlashStack the most fundamentally game-changing product refresh that Cisco has ever done in their history. And this was an independent IDC research study that said that. And what they've done is we've always been very green and very sustainable. On the compute side, they've also matched us. They've made it more dense, so less footprint in your data center, which means reduced power, reduced cooling requirements, reduced electricity usage overall. In fact, one of our customers presented at Accelerate, a large bank, large financial services company, and they had an 86% reduction in data center size and cooling and electricity usage as a result of their new FlashStack system.
Very, very impressive. And I also wanted to mention about our industry-leading data reduction capabilities, right? And that kind of helps with not only reducing the data center footprint, but also from a ESG perspective, reducing the power requirements, reducing the energy requirements.
So more encryption, more data reduction, more compression, more dedupe, all of that is in the service of reducing the amount of effort it takes to support these modern databases and their growth.
Thank you, Brian.
Thank you.
We hope you found this video informative. For more details, please go to purestorage.com/Oracle or visit www.flashstack.com. Thank you for watching.